What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. We're going to continue to examine 100 years of World Championship fights. Now, the visual you're looking at is Jack Dempsey and Manasseh Moeller. We're up to October 23rd, 1931. Future middleweight champion and current welterweight contender, Lou Brouillard defeats young Jack Thompson in 15 rounds in Detroit, Michigan to win the World Welterweight Championship belt. He was born as Lucien Pierre Brouillard, St. Eugene's, Quebec, Canada, on May 23, 1911. But he would die September 14, 1984, in Massachusetts. He stood 5'7". He was a welterweight and middleweight, weighed 145 to 170 pounds. He became the welterweight champion, the light heavyweight champion of England, the New York Sack, and the NBA world middleweight champion. Being in the ring with fighters such as young Corbett III, Mickey Walker, and Al Gaynor, Jimmy McLarnin, young Jack Thompson, Al McCoy, Bob Olin, Big Jampy. Pretty decent fighter was Lou Brouillard. October 26, 1931. Victor Young Perez knocks out Frankie Gennaro 2 rounds in Paris, France. He was the NBA flyweight champion. And the IBU flyweight championship belt was on the line. Now, the thing with Victor Perez, weighed 112 pounds. Had 134 total bouts, 28 losses with 27 knockouts. He was born October 18, 1911, and died February 4, 1945. Stood 5'1". He was a flyweight, bantamweight, weighed 109 to 118 pounds. He would hold the NBA flyweight championship and the IBU flyweight championship belt. We even have the flyweight championship title of France. Now, he was in the ring with fighters such as Eugene Hart, Emile Plander, and Kid Francis. Let me show you Kid Francis, who was a very good fighter himself. Now, I wanted to show you Kid Francis. Very, very good fighter was Kid Francis back in the late 20s and the early 30s. He had a really good run. And I'll be showing you different pictures throughout the course of this series of different fighters and different scenarios. So that's Kid Francis. Now you're looking at Pete Latso and Tommy Loughran, July 16th, 1928. I'm going back and forth. I just wanted to show you a few visuals. Pete Latso was a welterweight champion. He had taken the title away from Mickey Walker, and Walker regained his championship. Pete Latso. And Latso went up to the light heavyweight championship division to face Tommy Loughran, and he was unsuccessful in his mission. Tommy Loughran was a hell of a light heavyweight champion. They called him the Philly Phantom. I showed you a video of him, and I'll be showing you more video footages of Tommy Loughran. Pete Latso, pretty decent fighter himself, so he's to your left, and Tommy Loughran is to your right. Now, you hear me talk about Corporal Izzy Schwartz several times. I wanted to show you Corporal Izzy Schwartz. His name was Isidore Schwartz. He was born October 23rd, 1900 in New York. He died July 1988 in New York. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He was in the Hall of Fame in 1998. He stood 5'1". He was with a flyweight. And he weighed anywhere between 108.5 to 118 pounds. He had a 62-inch reach, and he was managed by Phil Bernstein. Now, he fought from 1921 to 1932. Had a record of 125 total bouts, 70 wins and 7 knockouts. Didn't have a hard punch, but he was a really good boxer. Moved from side to side quite well and kept his hands up. Defeated fighters such as Newsboys Brown, 22 years old when that happened. And that's when he won the flyweight championship belt. December 16th, 1927, New York's Madison Square Garden. And on the main event of that fight, which is very interesting, was Todd Morgan. He defeated Joe Click, but he won on a disqualification. And what was interesting about that, it was for the New York SAC and the NBA Junior Lightweight Championship. And the referee was Eddie Forbes. And he stopped at 2 minutes and 9 seconds in the 14th round because of a low blow. And what was happening was Todd Morgan was claiming foul. He went down 3 times in 1 round and he kept on claiming foul. And he disqualified Joe Click. And so Joe Morgan would actually win a fight. And that was very, very interesting. The crowd went nuts. They were throwing beer bottles and everything else. So that happened on the same card. It was the main event of the Newsboy Brown and Izzy Schwartz fight. It was a good card. It was actually a tournament that was supposed to be happening because of Mighty Atom. Mighty Atom had passed away. And Jimmy Wild, outstanding flyweight champion, he was. He would lose his title, 7-round knockout to Pancho Villa. And that was somewhat of an end of an era. Little Jimmy Wild, he was something else. So Pancho Villa was the actual fighter who had passed away, and that's the belt they were fighting for in that tournament. It was Pancho Villa. But Corporate Emmy Schwartz, Izzy Schwartz, I met him from Teddy. I believe it was Teddy. I had a friend named Teddy. He introduced me to a lot of fighters. And a lot of other guys who introduced me to fighters. South Rapper, many guys. So I'm trying to remember who introduced me to who. But Izzy Schwartz was something else, man. He really was. But I just wanted to show you Izzy Schwartz. And he fought Newsboy Brown for that crown. And Black Bill Eladio Valdez should have gotten that opportunity. And he didn't get that opportunity. He would fight Midget Wargas instead. And that's a whole thing with that. Bushy Graham was in that mix as well. But Izzy Schwartz, Corporate Izzy Schwartz, pretty good fighter, good humanitarian, was Corporate Izzy Schwartz. And I just wanted to show you him. November 4th, 1931. World Featherweight Champion, battling Battalino, defeats Earl Mastro, 10 rounds, Chicago, and defends his World Featherweight Championship belt. It was at the Chicago Stadium. It was for the NBA World Featherweight Championship title. Now, Battlino was 23 years old. He stood 5 foot 5.5 inches. He was a featherweight and had a 65-inch reach. As for Earl Mastro, he was 23 years old as well, but he stood 5 foot 4 inches. He was a featherweight. He had a fighting record of 49 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, and 12 knockouts coming into that fight. Battlino had a record of 35 wins, 12 losses, 2 draws, and 13 knockouts coming into that fight. Now, who was Earl Mastro? His name was Earl Mastro. He was born February 9th, 1908 in Chicago, Illinois. He died January 15th, 1994 in Chicago as well. Stood 5 foot 4 inches. He was a featherweight and fought from 1926 to 1932. Had a fighting record of 50 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws, and 53, but a knockout win. Now, that was his total bouts. He had total bouts of 53 fights, 50 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws. I'm going to make that correction. He was 27 years old when he had his really, really big opportunity in his fighting career, but he was a very good fighter, was Earl Mastro. And I just wanted to shine some light on him because he will be coming up in this series. Have a conversation about him later on in this series as well. But battling Battalino, you're seeing him here knock out a fighter by the name of Al Singer in 2 rounds. And Al Singer would be knocked out in the first round when he would face Sammy Mendel. But Al Singer was a very good fighter. In fact, let me show you Al Singer. Now I wanted to show you Al Singer. Here's Al Singer. He dusted off Sammy Mendel 1 round. And he himself would be dusted off 6 months later by the great Tony Canzoneri. Very good Jewish fighter was Al Singer. Now, I talked about the Mighty Atom. His name is Jimmy Wild. Just wanted to show you Jimmy Wild. He would lose his crown to Pancho Villa. Well-respected flyweight. He was actually the first flyweight champion since that championship was developed. 1910. Very good fighter was the Mighty Atom. They call him Little Jimmy Wild. Monday, November 9th, 1931. Heavyweights Max Baer defeats Johnny Risco. They called him the Cleveland Baker Boy, or the Rubber Man. 10 rounds, San Francisco, California. It was at the Seal Stadium. The referee was Eddie Burns. Max Baer was 22 years old. He stood 6 foot 2.5 inches. He was a heavyweight and had an 81-inch reach. Had a record of 28 wins, 7 losses, 24 knockouts. As for Johnny Risco, he was 28 years old and stood 5 foot 11. He was a heavyweight with a 74-inch reach. Had a record of 63 wins, 38 losses, 8 draws, and 16 knockouts. Now, Max Baer had fought Tommy Loughran, February 6, 1931, New York's Madison Square Garden. The referee was Jack Dempsey. He would lose to him on a unanimous decision. He would knock out Ernie Owens, April 7th, 1931. We lose to Johnny Risco, May 5th, 1931. Paulino Escadon, July 4th, 1931. He will lose to him. We have a technical knockout with Jack Van Boy, September 23rd, 1931. And Jose Santana, October 21st, 1931. He would knock him out clean. That was a beautiful left hook. That one was. I have the reel to that fight. Tommy Heenan was an opponent of Johnny Risco, April 6, 1931. King Levinsky, April 21st, 1931. Max Baer, May 5th, 1931. Tony Galento, July 3rd, 1931. Tommy Loughran, October 19th, 1931. Very good fighter was Max Baer for sure. He just didn't train. He didn't take care of himself. He was more of a playboy than anything else. Let me show you King Levinsky. They called him Kingfish Levinsky. He'd be in the ring with, as far as Joe Louis. You know, Joe Louis would take him out very early. And they had to carry him into the ring, let alone carry him back out of the ring when he was knocked out. He didn't want to fight Joe Louis. Kingfish Levinsky. Let me show you Kingfish Levinsky. I promised to show you King Levinsky. Had the picture a moment ago. I got so many books here that's kind of spread out. But I did promise to show you something. So when I refine that or I discover that, I'll show it to you. Pete Latso and Joe Simmons, 1926 on a scale. Just wanted to show you this. This fight took place in Newark, New Jersey, December 8th, 1926. Welterweight champion on a scale. And he was in defense of his title. Now, Joe Dundee would take the title from him. But Pete Latso was a pretty decent fight, and I just wanted to show you this fight between Pete Latso and Joe Simmons, 1926. All the pictures are from my scrapbook. Now, this book I'm showing you, the entire book, are tale of the tapes. All these fighters are on the scale or they're posing with one another. Entire book, 1,000 pages. And that's all this book is. Here you have Sammy Mandel, who was on the scale, and Jimmy McLaurin waiting to get on the scale. Here you have Ray Miller to your left. He's on the scale. And Jimmy McLaurin is waiting once again to get on the scale. Now, in that last picture I showed you with Mandel had defeated Jimmy McLaurin. All right, so I just showed you a few of these pictures that's in that book. If you saw the book, it's mind-blowing. The entire book is nothing but tale of the tapes, men on the scale, men posing with one another, preparing for fights. There's over maybe 5,000 pictures like that. Newspaper centerfolds, and yeah, it's crazy. One day I'll show you a few more. Let's move on. Wanted to show you something, and I have this glare on this picture for a reason. But this is Tony Mandel, Sammy Mandel's brother. He was a bantamweight. And I just wanted to give you a quick peek of Tony Mandel. Friday, November 20th, 1931. Lightweight and junior welterweight champion Tony Canzoneri defeats Kid Chocolate. 15 rounds in New York's Madison Square Garden. Now, the referee was Willie Lewis. The judges were Charles F. Mathen and Joe Anjanette. Now, Tony Canzoneri wins the Lonsdale belt, once owned by Freddie Welch. The audience roars with emotion and sadness because Kid Chocolate would lose that belt. But he didn't lose it on the scale. In fact, he never lost it at all. Remained around his waist because Tony Canzoneri didn't make weight. And it was a title fight. Tony Canzoneri could have won his 4th world championship belt. But he couldn't make the weight, so Tony Canzoneri would not be the new champion. Kid Chocolate would remain champion. He would eventually give up that belt to move up in weight. And Louis Kid Kaplan would be a fighter that was on that card. He would lose to Eddie Rain, but he lost by first round knockout. And that was the upset of the night. It was the upset of the year. Because Louis Kid Kaplan was a hell of a fighter. He would lose in 1 round to Eddie Rain. Now, Tony Canzoneri was 23 years old. He stood 5 foot 4 inches. He was a 3-weight division champion. He had a 65-inch reach. He had a fighting record of 85 wins, 9 losses, 8 draws, and 26 knockouts. As for Kid Chocolate, he was 21 years old. He stood 5 foot 6. He was a featherweight and had a 65-inch reach. Had a fighting record of 67 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, and 26 knockouts. Kid Chocolate was a hell of a fighter. Called him the Cuban Bong Bong. And I mentioned him once before, in fact, several times, how he was admired by fighters who fought after him. But he admired Black Bill, who was a countryman of his. But Robinson and Armstrong and Lewis and Gavilan, Charlie Burley, many of them, fighters of the future for him, but past for us, had admired Kid Chocolate. He would wear suspenders, a fedora hat, handkerchief, and a pocket watch, shiny shoes, a 3-piece suit. He always had his hair slicked back. And you would find him in the cafes and in the nightclubs. And he would be dancing away to the Cuban music, which he so cherished. The Cuban Bong Bong, Kid Chocolate, Tony Canzoneri. Friday, November 20th, 1931. So we're looking at the Cuban Bong Bong, Kid Chocolate, and Tony Canzoneri, New York's Madison Square Garden. As you can see here, Kid Chocolate just shoved off Tony Canzoneri. Now, the way Tony Canzoneri has always fought, he has his hands down, but he stands in front of you and moves side to side. He has beautiful body punching, and he shoves his man around the ring. As for Kid Chocolate, he's a master boxer, dances around, and he usually has a good jab. In this particular fight, I don't know exactly why he's not popping his jab. And that's why he's having the problems he's having out of Canzoneri. As you can see, Tony Canzoneri is using body work and he's using his aggression. Working on the inside with both hands. Right now, Kid Chocolate should be popping a jab. You cannot let at least 3 seconds go by without a punch being thrown. If you're standing in front of your man. Good jab, good jab. He has to continue to move around Tony Canzoneri and pop the jab. Give him angles. Because he has to allow Tony Canzoneri to reset his feet. After his foot is set, he needs to be hit with a jab. Good combinations by Kid Chocolate. Beautiful. Tony Canzoneri ties his man up and works on the inside. He is a veteran. Both men were giving it everything they have on the inside. But Kid Chocolate needs to continue the jab. That's basically the fight for him, is the jab. And moving angles. He cannot stand there. He needs to move from side to side and pop the jab. Now, I showed you a video with Paulino Escadon. And I also showed you one with Billy Patrol and Barney Ross. And I told you when the referee shoves off Billy Patrol, he should come right back to Barney Ross. The same thing should happen with Tony Canzoneri, and he did that. If you watch, when Tony Canzoneri has the fight interrupted by the referee because of holding, watch how he comes right back to Kid Chocolate. Now, he didn't do it in that sequence, but he normally does. I guess he realized the round was about to end. The Kid Chocolate needs to jab. That's what needs to happen. He's worried about Canzoneri's counter because Tony Canzoneri is a brilliant counterpuncher. But he can't worry about that. He needs to jab and he needs to move from side to side, work on the inside. He needs to jab. Now, Chocolate is fainting a lot, but he has to jab after he faints. He has to do that. This will prevent what's happening right now with him. He's being tied up. He's being tired because what Tony Canzoneri is doing as he's tying him up, he is yanking his arms, putting pressure on his shoulders, and he's hitting him on the inside. These are old school tricks that are being done against Kid Chocolate. Chocolate needs to, oh, beautiful left hook. Nice right hand to follow. Good jab, good jab. He needs to continue to do that. This reminds me a little bit of the Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez fight, March 17th, 1990. It was in Las Vegas. I was at that fight in the second row. And this kind of puts me in mind of that. Good jab. He needs to continue to do that. Does Kid Chocolate. Tony Canzoneri is a brilliant fighter, as you can see. Have him ranked number 9, along with Benny Leonard and Johnny Dundee, on my all-time boxing list. And for a reason. Very ring savvy was Tony Canzoneri. Could have been a 4-time world champion had he made the weight for this fight. Kid Chocolate was a 2-time champ. Beautiful punches thrown on the inside of Kid Chocolate. Oh, good counterpunch by Tony Canzoneri over the lazy jab of Kid Chocolate. See, he's moving Kid Chocolate around the ring. Now, right now, Kid Chocolate has Canzoneri close to the ropes. He needs to counter. He needs to throw combinations and get out. The Canzoneri is bullying Kid Chocolate around the ropes and around the ring. Right now, he needs to pop the jab and move. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful punches by both men. Kid Chocolate is winning the second half of the fight. Now, Kid Chocolate needs to continue with the jab and he needs to move. And throw combinations and move. Cannot allow Tony Canzoneri to stand there and do that. And right now, Chocolate needs to get right back with the jab, throw combinations and move to the side. Good head movement by Kid Chocolate. Tony Canzoneri is throwing body punches at him at this point. It's late in the fight. And Chocolate just needs to throw combinations and move, combinations and move. As for Tony Canzoneri, he needs to continue to throw body punches to the arms, to the shoulders, and to the head. All right, the fight is almost over. Very good fight between these two men. Beautiful fight. Beautiful fight. You're looking at two class champions right here. They fight to the very end. Oh, beautiful punches by both men. Outstanding. Two of my greatest fighters of all time. Oh, beautiful uppercut. Left hook. Men are fighting to the very end. Oh my God. Beautiful punches by both men. Beautiful hook by Kid Chocolate. Look at that combination by Kid Chocolate in the end. Look at Canzoneri come right back. Kid Chocolate continues to punch because he realizes his title was on the line. But then someone told him his title wasn't on the line because Canzoneri didn't make weight. All right, Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. All great fights, and all fights will never be forgotten on my channel. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Salute.